Hey everybody, it's Tuesday. This is my new craft day, and I last week I did a tag, not really thinking about it, just because it was fun using the Let It Be from Graphic 45. And today I thought, well, Tag Tuesday rolls off the tongue pretty easily, so why don't we just make it Tag Tuesday? I'm going to be doing these on Tuesday for the near future. Well, I have a class on Wednesdays, and I feel like I actually like starting the week this way. This is my first day at work because we're closed Mondays, so it feels good to start off with a craft demo. So I'm going to do another tag today. Today I'm going to do, we had this class over the weekend and it was really fun. We really enjoyed it. Everyone went home with 2 very beautiful cards. But if you missed it, I'm going to demonstrate what this looks like, and then I do sell all the supplies for it. And Pinkfresh Studio is releasing these whole systems where you get the stamp, the stencil, the glimmer plate, the die, and sometimes a washi tape that all work together. And I'm going to show you a couple of those elements today and what that looks like. Mainly the glimmer plate and the die and the washi tape. So I'm just going to turn this around. Back to using my old system today just because I didn't have time to set the other one up. So I hope that I see your comments. So I'm going to start with some, so today I'm going to start with the washi tape and die combination, and that looks like this. Here's the die, and then I'll show you the glimmer plate piece of it. So it's really easy. Basically, the washi tape is this really wide, thick stuff, and I started to tear it. You can save it pretty easily if you're careful. She says tearing it even more. Come on, Angharad, let's not prove ourselves wrong here. There we go. Now it's one sheet. And that tear's not a big deal because in the end, when it gets cut as a little elements, and so if that shows up, I don't have to use it. So what I want to do is pull a whole repeat, and a repeat is the main piece, which is this, and then the little floral pieces. And it's not as tricky as I made that look. It really isn't, if you ask me. Of course, I was like, I don't need scissors. First thing I need. Scissors. Okay, so I'm just laying out the washi tape, and right now I have 4 different washi tape combinations in the shop from Pinkfresh Studios, and they're coming out with new ones all the time, so keep an eye out. They're so pretty, genuinely just so pretty. And if you're not into the washi tape, if you think that's cheating, that's fine, because for you diehards out there, they have the die that matches, they have a stamp that matches the die as well. And a stencil, so you can stamp and stencil. Maybe I'll demonstrate that next week. But today it's the washi tape. So this is one, and then I'd already prepped another one. So this is another one, and again, it has a die that goes with it. And the only thing to keep in mind when you're doing this is that you want to make sure that when you put out the, when you roll out the washi tape, that you have it calibrated so that it's not backwards. You don't want to start. So the repeat is this, right? So it matches. If I had this here and this here, the die wouldn't match it because it's directional. So that'll make more sense if you try it at home and mess it up once. You'll be like, oh, that's what she's talking about. Because it's really obvious once you mess it up what you did wrong. But if you understood me, hopefully I'll have prevented that from happening for you. Okay, I have my handy switch machine here next to me. Everyone, if you've been listening to any of my videos, you've heard me gush about this. My chair just fell apart. Great. Okay, so I'm going to create my sandwich with my die on my pressure plates. My platform. And then it adjusts it for itself. It really does. There we go. And here I go. Here are my pieces that I got out of that. They weren't a perfect exact cut. Let's see if I can get a slightly better one. You can see that and if I didn't get the washi tape down completely straight either, that's gonna affect how well the die works with it. So there's some considerations in terms of this versus if you've used the stamp and the stencil to create your pattern and you're cutting it out. It might line up a little better. Oops. Okay, so I'm going to do it again. So now I've got these wonderful little pieces, and you saw how quickly that happened. I put down the tape, ran it through the machine, and bam, I'm ready to go with all these beautiful elements cut out and ready for my project. Now, again, you could stencil and stamp and even glimmer plate this system together, and that way, if you don't want to use the washi tape, now I'm just doing the other one just to have it, just to show you. So now I have these elements. And what I'm going to do is I had this little piece of purple sitting around, and I've got the die that I used last week, the Graphic 45 die, and I'm going to cut the tag out. So I'm just going to use this tag for my Tuesday tags for the time being. So I'm going to tape this down. It just happens to be exactly the right shape and size for this. Just perfect. And I love this rich purple color I have in stock here. So now I have these elements cut and ready to use. I could use that again to get that other half out. So now I have a couple little stacks of pretty things to use, to choose from. Actually, they'll both go with this purple, so I can keep thinking about what I want. Now I'm cutting out my tag. And then I'm going to show you something super cool. Oh, again, I did it wrong. Nor the ominous cracking. That is perfectly normal with a die cut machine, especially when you're doing something long with long flat planes to it. It's also pretty normal for the die to start to warp a little bit. They're not indestructible, unfortunately. All right, I ripped that a little bit. That's okay though, because I will cover it up. Okay, so now I have my tag. I'm going to set aside the switch machine for just a second, and I'm going to switch it out for, I'm going to change it out for this machine instead. And this is the, I'm not going to completely change it up because I still need the switch machine. This is the GoPressFoil. It's the Spellbinders foil machine. And I am going to use it with the Glimmer Plate. This is a Pinkfresh Studio Glimmer Plate. So if you're thinking, what is she talking about? This is a machine that I've had in stock a long time, but really haven't used much because I initially thought it was just another way to make you spend money. And it is, I'll be honest, it is. But it's really cool because these days, the Glimmer Plates, which are these hot foil plates that are being put out by some great designers. So Pinkfresh Studios is really leaning into it. Spellbinders has some beautiful ones. But they make these plates, and then if you're doing it right, the way I think Pinkfresh Studios is doing it right, you're going to also have dies and stamps that go with them. There's even, let's see, one of the things I'm really excited about right now is an alphabet that Pinkfresh Studio puts out where you get the die, the stamp, the stencil, and the Glimmer Plate. So you can make these alphabets and cut out each letter. They're gorgeous. So what I'm doing right now, I'm waiting for this red flashing light to turn green. That'll mean that this is hot enough. I still need my switch machine because I still need to run it through a die cutting machine. In the meantime, I'm going to start placing my elements for my tag. The way I like to do this personally is to start by choosing my focal piece and then elevating it. I have that. So I might do that, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start by cutting this flat, or off, I should just say, like that. And then I'm going to elevate it with some foam dots. And when you have, well, let's see how that works. I might regret not putting one there, but I did do this onto a 100-pound cardstock. So, hey Candace, yep. I'm letting you see how it works. It's actually very, very, very simple to use. So it's still just heating up at the moment. So there's my first piece. And the reason I put the first focal piece up on foam is because now I can kind of come in and stick things in a way that will be flush with the backside and will look more natural. So for instance, that piece, this is the piece I cut off right there, right? Now I can reuse it. A little double-sided adhesive. Throw that way in a way that feels like it's meant to be there. I might come along and throw one of these littler pieces in. Again, doing a little auditioning to get this in the right spot. And then I might throw another layer in on top of, I heard something click. So this is how I start building my design with these. Come in and start layering. So I have 3 layers now. I have flush with the card, and I have my sort of main element, and now I'm going to build a couple of smaller elements maybe around that. I can also cut these apart, like I could cut that off and just have that flower. So, all right, but this just clicked in a way that tells me that it's ready to go. So here's what you do with the Glimmer Plate. Let me get my cardboard. I am going to do it onto white. So I have this white cardstock. That's not quite the right size. Let's do this one. This is again the same 100-pound cardstock that I like to use in my classes. And I'm going to start by choosing my foil. I'm going to use this slightly rosy gold. So you open the press. You place the foil side down. Oop, there's more than one sheet. There we go. All right. You then place what you want to foil onto on top of it. But they do want you to have a little bit of pressure in there, so they tell you to put a piece of just random cardboard in. So I've been using this piece. You pull the whole thing out of the machine and you stick it through your switch machine or your die cutting machine. The switch is genius in that it doesn't, you don't have to calibrate it. It adjusts its pressure itself. So you don't have to worry about it not being enough pressure. All right, and then you're gonna pull the paper off and you're gonna peel off that foil. Right? How easy is that? Now, the only thing you have to be aware of is that, you know, these things are hot. Like right now, I want to take this off and put another one on there. So I'm gonna really carefully do that. Okay. Now, the reason why I did that is because I want to show you a second thing you can do, which is awesome. You can buy this flat plate and you can heat that up instead. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and use the die cut that I have for this sentiment set, and I'm going to die cut these sentiments out. And I'm going to tape that down where I want it. I'm going to pull out my sandwich, my switch sandwich, and run it through the switch machine. If you do a lot of die cutting and you have the extra cash, this switch machine is amazing. Amazing. Truly amazing. So now I have these lovely little sentiments ready to go to put in my cards or on my tag. Throw into you can just throw them in as like confetti in a card. There's so many of them, they're so great. Looks like it shifted a little. And you know, the foil wasn't completely successful. If you notice, this is a little grungy. You might like that, but I think and I am a grungy kind of person, but I do think that they're most effective when you get a good foil like that one. Right? So now I have those to choose from. This is now green. Now I want to show you something genius about what Pinkfresh Studio figured out about their Glimmer Plates. I have this negative impression left over, right, from the foiling I just did. So now I'm going to use this flat one to foil that negative impression onto a piece of paper. Pull that off. I had to run my fingers. So now I have, that wasn't perfect. I probably could have let this heat up a little more, or I could run it through twice. But I want to show you, let's see, do I have a better version of that? I got a slightly better version of that with this one that I did earlier. So I just want to show you what to do with it, and then I'll go back to my tag, because this is what I love about this reversal thing, is now you can take that die cut, put it down, and when you cut this time, you're cutting around that empty space in a way so I'm really working to get this missing U. Let's see how that turns out. I'm going to tell you, this die at this point has been through the ringer because I've used it a bunch of times, so it might be getting a little off center. And that does happen. It's part of the life cycle of a die. Thanks, Candace. This is a lot of fun, I have to say. So this was the one that I was really trying to get. Let's see how well it turned out. It turned out at all. Come That happens sometimes. There, this one worked. So here's the happy birthday. You get an idea of like, now I have a little rimmed version of it. So if you get a nice adhesion with your die cuts or with your foiling, you might get, you know, this is one way to salvage that dead, the negative impression of the foil. All right, back to our project. I'm going to put this one up on some foil. Oh, just got super quiet. I'm going to put this down here. That one didn't quite. And then I'm going to trim these edges off. Yay, I'm glad you already have it. I'd love to see the results you get, because I've had better results than that. I'm not quite sure why that didn't work out so well that time. It also might be that I'm not using the right foil. I've got, you know, I just grabbed what I had on the shelf, and it's not necessarily what goes with this brand. With this machine, I should say. Some of the glimmer foils out there are meant to be used with toner. So you'll see some of the companies are coming out with black and white prints that you then foil. And those toner prints are just like what you would get when you print from a laser printer. And then what happens is that the toner melts. You put it through something heated, and the toner melts, and you get a adhesion that way. So I'm just cutting this little flower out to put in the back here, like this. Yep, liking it. Okay, and there's lots of places that I can add more elements if I wanted to pull this down a little bit, or pull this up. Got this one that I could add in. Actually, I think I will add that one. I think that looks nice. Now remember, this doesn't have to withstand a hurricane or anything. It just needs to be stuck together enough to, you know, for you to be able to pick it up and not have it fall apart. And then, let's see. What would I want to say? I've always liked this one. It's so sweet, and sometimes that's all you want to hear, is that someone's going to give you a hug. My husband and I, very early on, were taught to do something from our couples counseling, which we went to sort of, you know, while we were still dating. And it's called the 6-second hug. If you hug each other for 6 seconds, it's long enough that you have to take a breath. And when you take that breath, you tend to relax. So they say to do it, it's reparative. That's what it is in relationships. There we go. So that's where I am with this. I am thinking that I want to add some sparkle. Here's my arm. I have a couple different options when it comes to sparkle. I have these Pinkfresh Studio crystals. I have this Buttons Galore and More crystals. I'm actually ordering these, so I'll be bringing them in if you're a fan. And here's a tip. I put my glue down where I want the crystal and then put the crystal on top of it, rather than trying to put the glue on the back of the crystal and then trying to stick it where I want it, and which means usually ends up with it getting on your fingers and getting in the way. So, too much glue, of course. Just gonna go through and add a little sparkle here and there with these various little bits that I like. And I will tell you that I have all sorts of these sparkles in the store now. I have these sequins, which come in these multi-packs. Oh, that one was already open, so that's convenient. So now I have some sequins stuck into that glue that was all over the place. So now I'm just embellishing. And honestly, you can embellish and embellish and embellish and embellish and embellish. So I'm just gonna sit here and plunk a little sparkle onto sparkle, sparkle, one sparkle. Layer the sparkles a little bit, like where did the purple ones go? And I'm actually gonna fill this little flower with a sparkle. Give it a little dimension that way. So, there we go. That is a very simple, let's see, how long did I do that? It was about half an hour. It took me to put all of these elements together, and now I have all of these things, you know, available to do with other cards. And so, you know, this could be something where you sit there with your die cutting machine, your washi tape, and your foiling machine, and you just create elements so you can put them together at any given time to make a card. This is a tag. This is the card version of it. It's a slim line. Reminder that here's another version of it. So, you know, and then Craftiness has the dies to make the slimline envelopes. I also sell them, the Pinkfresh Studio envelopes. So yeah, lots of options. And hopefully that inspired you to get crafty today. Thanks so much for joining me. And I'm gonna be in Seattle again on Thursday and Friday, so I'll be dispatching from the attic. And then yeah, that's it. I will be demoing jelly printing and then art journaling on Friday as usual. So I can keep to my schedule these days, even when I'm in Seattle. And but the store's open, so don't worry about me not being here. The store is here, open. Courtney's here to answer your questions. I'm always available by phone to answer them too. So come on in. I hope to see you. I'm here the next 2 days, so come on by and I can show you where all of these things are in the shop. So if you're interested in picking any of this up. All right, take care everyone. Thanks.